We need to have a conversation about the Iota network. I have researched this asset going on 4 years now, and I'm beating myself up a bit right now because I don't have any. I ain't got not a one. Not a one. And as a matter of fact, what we're going to discuss in this episode, I originally wrote out like a week ago when Iota's price was, let's go to the 7-day here, 22 cents. 23 cents. Listen, folks, Iota has gotten a bad rap in the crypto space for a number of years. And the more that I've had the opportunity to observe it, to watch its ecosystem change, its community evolve, the additions that it has made to its network, I feel confident in letting you know that this is the last hidden gem in crypto. Because to the very point that people give Iota flack, is actually the opportunity that if you were to capitalize on it right now, you could be positioning yourself in front of a massive wave. Because in the last 6 months, Iota has pulled off some amazing accomplishments that we're going to talk about in this episode. And we're also going to talk about the OG status for Iota. Now, other creators may, knock the dinosaur coins, but not over here. I'm looking for the experience because it's the ones who have had the most time to practice their craft that ultimately create the better products. We are still very, very early, folks. Understand that. Now, before we dive into this really good, got to share a couple things with you. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Wade, and you're listening to another edition of the ADGM Crypto Podcast. I've been in the space since 2019, and I've researched over 1,000 digital assets. The only reason I run this show is to share all that knowledge with you. All I ask in return is you hit that like button, but not for me. Let's do it for crypto. Or in this case, let's do it for Iota. In return, I got something for you. You go down to the description section and you will see the DHN Crypto Starter Kit for 2024. In these 6 pages, in this free 6-page PDF, is a lot of years of time saved. It took me a long time to gather all of these links, these perspectives, these ideas on the crypto space to help get you started. I know there are a lot of new faces around. I'm glad that you're here. It's been a long time coming. Just wait until you see what's next. But in this PDF, got links to different crypto ecosystems. I added them here to give you the best idea of good and bad crypto projects. Some we may cover on the channel, some we've covered in the past, some we haven't covered at all. Again, it was to give you the best perspective. And then we also have links to various analytics websites, news outlets, things like that. These can be hard to find. It takes a minute for Google to get used to your new searches once you start going down crypto rabbit holes. So this should help accelerate the process. Again, head down to the description section. Make sure you pick that up. 2025 version is on its way. Be looking out for that. So let's get started here with Iota. Where do I begin? So the most compelling piece of information related to Iota, and you guys should have known that we were going to bring this map back up sometime soon. I'm breaking down these connections for each one of these assets. Now, if you don't know what this is a map of the new financial system. That's what we'll call it, that. Famed researchers in the blockchain space over years of time compiled this information. And get this, they did it back in 2022. Now, when I first discovered this information, I held on to it, looked at it, took it with a grain of salt, as they say. But since then, the things that have strangely lined up with the information that these researchers have provided us, man, it really would explain. Let me show you this. Why all of them, since the election, ladies and gentlemen, have gone absolutely insane. That can't be a coincidence. It can't be. But the biggest thing about this map, at least for our episode, is Iota's involvement. Let's zoom in a little more here. But you can see Iota, one-to-one with Iridium. We'll dig into that later. Autonomous machine-to-machine transactions over Internet of Things and human data exchanges. digital ID. That really encompasses it. And I mentioned that Iota is one of the OG assets. And when I say OG, the year founded, 2015, network launch was 2016. I had my second child, 2016. It was my first son, 2016. Very significant year for me, for sure. Another reason I believe people give Iota a lot of flack is because the use case that it's focused on is so advanced. But if people dug a little bit deeper, they'd realize IoT technologies are already here. Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. What we're seeing develop is the hardware layer to those technologies. Hardware. Devices that can enhance Wi-Fi capabilities, not just routers here. We're talking actual machines that can be in the middle of a highway and improve Wi-Fi capabilities or offer services based on an internet connection in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of what we're getting at here. But one of the OG assets, and there are a few pillars to their technology that are very important to understand. Number one being the Tangle. The Iota Tangle is a type of distributed ledger technology that is specially designed to enhance and advance the Internet of Things. It introduces a new type of DLT, which differs from traditional blockchain standard. It was created by the Iota Foundation to support the advancement and adoption of new DLTs, including the Tangle. I have an episode on my second channel called Crypto Untold, where I cover the different variations of blockchain. Blockchain is just one form of DLT. There are many others. I was going to say multiple, but it's really only a handful. You got Tangle, you got the hash graph, you got directed acyclic graphs, and then you have blockchain. Somebody probably going to come up with something new in the next 5 to 10 years, but as it stands, that's what we have right now as far as DLT, which is another thing that really sets Iota apart. And I'm not quite sure why people don't understand that. We aren't talking about blockchain here, which is what everyone else is using. We're talking about a specialized version of distributed ledger technology, specifically tailored for a certain use case. Outside of the Tangle, recently they just upgraded to 2.0. And this is where things truly get interesting for Iota. We got a clip here. It's about 1.5 minutes. We're going to let it ride through because they're going to give us a breakdown of this 2.0. And then I'm going to show you a few things that will come with this that will set the stage for Iota to potentially tie itself to some iridium. Well, let's go back to the clip here.
Iota's 5 core design principles lay the foundation for a truly democratic and autonomous digital future, giving you full control over your data and a robust framework to build on. Principle 1. Accessibility. With accessible writing, you can create and add your own blocks to the ledger without having to wait and pay someone else. Principle 2. Parallelism. Say goodbye to bottlenecks with parallel processing, which ensures that multiple blocks can be processed at once. Principle 3. Volume and velocity. High volume and velocity means that the network can handle a large quantity of transactions and keep fast confirmation times. Principle 4. Social dynamics. The protocol will replicate real-world social interactions through the use of account-based digital identities, giving you easy control of your assets and digital identity. Principle 5. Sustainable tokenomics. Iota is designed to prevent value extraction by encouraging long-term commitment to the ecosystem. Owning Iota tokens over time guarantees feeless access to the network. These 5 principles ensure that when you use Iota 2.0, you're part of a secure and democratic network that prioritizes your autonomy.
So, a couple things here. One, Iota, another thing that sets Iota apart is their ability to process microtransactions. So, if you have a payment involving the transaction, let's say it's only $3, right? usually online, small value transactions like that are harder to do. I run into it all the time online when I'm using payment type services or an app that includes a payment service where there's withdrawal limits, deposit limits, transaction limits, things like that. Well, with Iota, there aren't any, which gives them the advantage here. They also have payment applications. Wouldn't have time to fit that in this episode, but I definitely urge you to look into it. There's another layer 2 Iota's network. Layer 2 kind of threw me off. But recently, they've adopted a programming language called Move. Now, a little bit after my hiatus that I took in the summer, one of the first pieces of content I made was around Sweet Protocol. And the very reason I made that piece of content is because I wanted people to understand where the Move programming language came from and what it was going to intentionally be used for. It's going to intentionally be used to serve Facebook's 2.5 billion people. It's going to be used to serve Facebook's 2.5 billion people. This Move programming language was created by Miston Labs, which is the company behind Sweet Protocol and Aptos. But they created this Move programming language. And without getting too deep in the weeds, using too many technical terms, it all boils down to the point that I tripped up in trying to explain to you. If this programming language was intended to support a system of that scale, imagine what it could do for someone else. We've already seen what Aptos is in the double-digit price range. When I made that piece of content on Sui, it was under $1. Look at where it is now. It's something about that programming language that is very attractive. And it's also very efficient because now SweetPlay has a whole hardware gaming console getting ready to hit its network. Iota aims to be the leader of the machine-to-machine economy with better programming language to have. Now, there is another thread to Iota that I find to be very interesting. Another famed researcher also associated with this map here. Let me get back to it. Kind of lost it. But the connections that this individual made around Iota are very interesting. Again, this information was compiled years before where we are today. And you can see 2.0 is there. It leads to the assembly Shimmer, which is Iota's layer 2 that they launched last year. There is also the Stardust component to Iota as well that supercharges the microtransactions and the payment side for Iota. Don't get it twisted, guys. Iota can do the same thing that XRP can do, that Stellar can do, that Adara can do, hell, that XDC can do. As a matter of fact, when we get into looking at their relationships, it's exactly what I'm going to show you. But I wanted to share this information with you guys because, like I said in the beginning, people don't talk about it. And there's a huge opportunity being missed here with this information and how you can apply it to your financial freedom. The world of IoT is definitely a subject that you should spend a weekend on. But let's move on a little bit because I want to tell you about Mr. Dominic Schneider, the man who founded Iota. Again, this is a point to the experience that is behind this project, something that you really want to look for. Dominic is an Italian entrepreneur and co-founder of Iota, where he's focused on building the machine economy through open source software. He has been in the blockchain space since 2011. With his first startup ventures in Switzerland and the UK. With his work, he has won international prizes from the likes of Deloitte, Wanjiang, GTEC, and Emirates NDB. With Iota and the blockchain, he wants to fuel our transition towards smart decentralization, which is the foundation of establishing verifiable trust between humans, machines, companies, and governments alike. Something else that I like to see, being in the space since 2011, you saw the pre-utility phase. You were here pre-metaverse, pre-DeFi, right? The thinking back then around these assets, I feel, was a lot purer back then. It was much more pure. I can tell you now, though, if you've been in the space since then, it's great to see how things have evolved. Because to the point of Mr. Schneider, he's also done some work in a particular region, a very high value region, the Abu Dhabi global market. And this was announced a few weeks ago, where they're going to be tokenizing U.S. treasuries on Iota's network in collaboration with Ethereum, but you got to have that connection. It's strange. It's funny because with the Iota 2.0 upgrade, it also makes it EVM compatible. Simply meaning whatever Ethereum can do, so can Iota. And that includes tokenization. That's what this is going to get into. But before we dive into it, I have to show you the relationship that Iota has that originally brought me to the dance. When I first discovered Iota, they were involved with the European blockchain services infrastructure. The European blockchain services infrastructure is backed by the EU member states. It's been around. Let's just go over to the website here because they have their bio written so well. But the EU blockchain consortium itself, I may not be using the correct word, but it's been around for a number of years. Here we go. EBSI architecture. Since 2018, the European Commission and the European Blockchain Partnership have been building the EBSI. The EBP and the EC develop and deploy EBSI through a network of distributed nodes across Europe to support cross-border applications such as track and trace, verifiable credentials, trusted data exchange, and IP management across multiple domains. So this is Europe's essentially public blockchain network, their own blockchain network. No, it's not a token associated, but what this can be looked at as an example of an anchor, because these blockchain networks, they're isolated environments. Always remember that. However, and that is why interoperability is so important. I imagine a world where each nation has an architecture similar to this, full of blockchain nodes that are compatible with other nodes. Because when you look at the technology behind the EBSI, they tell you they're using Hyperledger Besu. Well, watch this. Currently, the Hyperledger has been rebranded to the Linux Foundation Decentralized Trust. Need to know that. And this is Hyperledger Besu. Hyperledger Besu is an Ethereum client designed to be enterprise friendly for both public and private permissioned network use cases with an extractable EVM implementation. It can also be run on testnets such as Sophia and Gerling. Besu includes several consensus algorithms, including proof of stake, proof of work, proof of authority, IBFT, QBFT, and click. Now, it's this piece here, extractable EVM implementation. With Iota going to 2.0 and getting that EVM compatibility, it allows them to make use of Hyperledger Besu. So now you can start thinking that alongside Hyperledger Besu and the Ethereum client, Iota would be the next piece of core technology that would be added to this architecture. A question that I had as well, right? Well, see, there's a couple things here. One, Iota became a part of this. They were involved in a series of pilot projects, phase 1 of the PCP, which is the pre-commercial procurement, which pilots new distributed ledger technology. Iota completed this in August of this year, successfully completed that. And it came with a few different caveats, right? So alongside our finalists, Chrome Away and Bill Lon, we've developed pre-commercial products for intellectual property rights management and digital product passports, demonstrating scalability and sustainability. We're now in conversations with commercial partners to further support and drive this important European initiative in its new governance form as Europum EDIC. Interesting. Even more interesting is this PDF that I found here. Can't find a date, but it's from the EU Blockchain Observatory and Forum. Talks about digital product passports as well as Iota's successful completion of the PCP. So with that, we can assume that this document was printed sometime after August, if not around the same time. Now, we got a couple different highlights here. Let's see, got two. Number one gives us an explanation in more detail of the digital product passport. They serve as distributed, decentralized network of interoperable platforms, each platform being crafted to the needs of its community of users and sector, intended to offer consumers and businesses enhanced transparency and insights into the environmental and sustainability features of products available in the EU market. It aims to promote the adoption of more sustainable practices in product lifecycle management, facilitating improved repairability and recycling for all products distributed within the EU. It is one of the key actions under the EU's Circular Economy Action Plan, circa 2020. I've mentioned the circular economy before. Her name slips my mind right now. MacArthur. I'm thinking MacArthur. She has a foundation, but she's one of the pioneering minds behind the circular economy. You type in the circular economy here, her name will pop up. But let me jump over to the second highlight here, because this portion talks about Iota's involvement directly. And notice where they mentioned what they mentioned first. Stardust, infrastructure layer for smart contracts, chains, and multi-asset ledgers. Shimmer is a network deployed to test Stardust features before its implementation on the Iota mainnet. DPPs collect information about a product through its life cycle. Let's get back onto that. Iota's Tangle can ensure the auditability and immutability of DPP data in a decentralized environment. Iota's DPP implementation includes digital IDs and VCs for identity management and data integrity. These components enable authorized and competent entities to contribute to the digital product passport. NFTs can be used for ownership-based access management in DPPs, but they may pose data privacy challenges. Tokenization, combined with Iota smart contracts, can incentivize sustainable behavior. This last piece here wraps it all together, talks about the last phase of the pre-commercial procurement. So, correction, this would have come out slightly before that article in August. It aims to continue its work on the European blockchain pre-commercial procurement in phase 2B, focusing on field testing, real-world stakeholders, and integration with the European blockchain services infrastructure. So prior to 2024, they were just testing Iota. Now that the tests have proved successful, Iota's finna be the number one guy in Europe. And with them being so forward thinking with their regulations, and I'll tell you this, folks, when I first started looking into the micro stuff, I discovered the EU, when it comes to blockchain, there are so many companies out there that have been waiting for regulation to deploy. And I'm talking about, I read the article, the value of all of the Web3 companies lying dormant, not dead, but just laying in waiting in the EU is hundreds of billions of dollars. Okay? Not quite sure how they got to that number, but it was the long list of companies that blew my mind. So there's a wave coming from the EU. But this is an article that talks about the Stardust upgrade, courtesy of Crypto News Flash, if you want to dive into it. But before we get out of here, let's jump back a little bit and talk about a couple more connections that Iota has. You'll see here they mention Africa. Iota has a relationship with a company called Trademark East Africa, where they use the Tangle DLT in their supply chain applications. And this particular story here made headlines so far to go to routers, ladies and gentlemen. An Abu Dhabi firm set to launch tokenized U.S. Treasury fund. They're going to be launching this on Iota. I came across this through Dominic Shiner's LinkedIn account, where he got this talking about some activity that he was going to be doing out in Abu Dhabi. There is a bit of a history with his relationship out there, and lo and behold, a couple weeks later, we get this headline. Now, I'll scroll down here and we can see specifically where Iota is going to be involved. The Realize Fund, which is the name of the company, will issue R-Bill token, the R-Bill token, and will serve as the digital representation of the units of the fund. They will initially launch on both the Iota and Ethereum networks. So you got to make use of Ethereum's massive user base. But what this means, guys, is that the fund is called Realize T-Bills, and it will buy BlackRock iShares and State Street Spider tokenized units from these ETFs and incorporate them within the fund. Dominic Schreiner, co-founder of the technology company Realize, told Reuters in an interview it hopes to grow a fund to $200 million. Tokenized treasuries are a growing segment of the crypto market, with a market capitalization of $2.4 billion on public blockchains, primarily Ethereum. So this brings Iota into the RWA conversation automatically. And you can anticipate more coming from this because of where it's housed, being in the Abu Dhabi global market. Just a quick Google search will show you that Abu Dhabi, outside of tokenized treasuries, they're digitizing everything. And they plan on doing it before 2030. Now, one of the biggest things about Iota, and we'll wrap with this here, is where to get this freaking thing. Part of the reason why I don't have any at the moment is because it involves downloading yet another application. I know we all got a bunch of them. But see, here's a reason that should motivate you, because it definitely motivated me. I downloaded this app. This is Tanglepay. It was from Iota's official website. You can find it through them. That's how I would recommend you do it. But you can see here, they got cross-app messaging coming soon. Engage in meaningful token-based communities across multiple apps on Iota and EVM. There's that extra compatibility thanks to the EVM. Then they talk about the simple, secure wallet design. It is very simple. It is very easy to use. Like when I'm looking at it, I'm nervous that, are there features that I haven't seen yet? Have I finished setting it up? I don't know. It's that clean though. It's that clean. You can see the partners here, guys. This would be the number one spot for Iota to get the asset. This Tanglepay, if I'm not mistaken as well, was the original Iota wallet. So there's that. With that, guys, that's all I got for this one. Again, this is the last hidden gem in crypto for this very reason. It don't have any major exchange listings with the exception of Binance. What happens when that changes? I'll leave you with that. Don't forget to pick up your DHN Crypto Starter Kit. Links to that will be in the description. Again, you get your 5 verticals of crypto, links to various crypto ecosystems, tools and resources, news outlets, everything you need to get you started in this crypto space. With that, you know what time it is. If that money is digital, so is the hustle.